All right, today's video is going to be how to replace, show you how to replace a screen. This is a Toshiba, actually model satellite E305-S1995, and I believe this model comes in two different screens. As you hopefully can see, this is the glossy version. There's also a matte finish screen. And actually, when you go to replace the screen, you can use either one. But because this customer had a glossy screen, I'm just going to replace it with a glossy screen. All right, first step in the process is generally I say take the battery out. Piece of cake. Let's make sure it's unlocked. Next step is going to be there's a couple little plastic covers that are going to cover some screws. We're going to peel those off. Okay, we've peeled off these little plastic covers, and as you hopefully can see, there's little Phillips head screws. We're going to take those out. Okay, the next step after taking the screws out. The next thing to do to get to the screen is this outside bezel has to be removed. Now, you have to be careful because it's thin plastic, but if you start to grab and start to pry away, before you know it, it'll start to kind of pop from the side. And once you get this off, you can slowly almost kind of run your finger, or you can get these plastic tools, but you usually can just kind of peel away. You got to be careful here at the top right here, especially at the top because that's where the camera is. But you're just going to keep kind of slowly going around, sometimes a little wiggling. It's going to be a little more difficult as we get closer to the hinge covers on this model. But and there has to be some double-sided tape, but there we go. I think we pretty much, little trick on this cover is this part that covers the hinge kind of really wraps it down. So what I did is, with a nice flathead screwdriver, you can just kind of get in there and just kind of lift it out carefully, and there we go. We've got the cover. A number of small Phillips head screws. At a minimum, I see we're going to have to probably take off 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 right now. We're going to take off those screws, and that's going to be able to have us peel away the... I had to take out all 6 screws, and what happens now is you can see that the back cover is really peeling away. What we want to be careful of, though, right away is you may see these ribbon cables, and the first thing is there's a ribbon cable that attaches to the video camera, and this is going to be a zero force insertion type of connector that probably will peel out. You have to, best is I usually use a straight edge screwdriver on each edge as where my fingernail is, and we slowly move it back straight back. Okay. Now this came out easily, like I said. The back cover's kind of laying down loose. Now the next thing is from the hinges, you'll see that it attaches to the screen, and that's your major kind of how the screen is really held is from the frame upward. So there's going to be 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take those out, and then we'll really be able to get to the back of the screen, and there's going to be 1 cable here that we have to undo. Okay. After taking out the 4 screws, and you can see I have all the screws in this dish here, and all the screws are generally the same size, except typically the ones that go in the side here are much smaller. And as you'll see, it's 1 cable that is going to come, comes out of the main PC, the motherboard, that's going to attach into the socket here, and it branches off on this Toshiba. And this is really just kind of like a double-sided sticky tape, so I'm kind of easily peeling this away. You don't want to hurt these cables. But what's good about this Toshiba, you see it's enclosed in some sort of, it's probably a metallic type of tape for shielding. And I'm going to peel away this tape here. And a lot of times, actually, when you peel this tape away, sometimes it... Okay, let me show you the process a little better. All I did, and it's better in this unit, there is this tape over here. Just peel it away and save this, because I'm going to use the same sticky tape to go over into the new screen. And here's the connection right here. And hopefully you can see, I just kind of get my fingers right here and you just slide straight back. It'll pop right out. And so right now, let's gently lay this away. Okay, just want to show you. Here is the new screen that came from laptop. Here's the old screen. And the first thing I always like to do is just lay one screen next to the other, make sure the dimensions are exactly the same, which they are. And we also want to slide away for a tiny bit and compare the socket positioning. And we can see it's right on the money, so we know we're good to go. So assembly is going to be in the repeat steps. What I'm going to do is first, while the screen is not in the frame at all, I'm going to be able to reconnect this main connector, which I'm going to show you. Then we're going to reattach it to the frame rails, 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. We'll then kind of lay it back down. Right before it's down, we're going to reconnect. This is the ribbon cable that goes to the camera. We're going to kind of lay it down. There was the 6 screws to go around. Place it down, then reattach the bezel, and you're done. I am telling you, you can do this whole repair in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just be careful. Okay, reassembly. I laid the screen down, and by the way, it comes with a screen protector. Keep that on for now. You see how this is on it? Let's try and keep the screen clean. You won't scratch it. So I'm going to lay this down like this. I've got some working room. Now I'm going to carefully align this. Hopefully you can see. And with the fingers, fingernails, you see how that's in there, nice and snug. I'm going to take that piece that came with the company, that came right from. Okay, now I'm going to gently, carefully bring it back. And lay it into the frame here. This is where I may have to start taking off this this cover here, because you're going to have tape right here. But I'm going to lay it into here. I'm going to put in the 4 screws. I'll show you one other tip. When I showed you how I was comparing screens, is you also want to compare. You can see on this frame that there's a hole there and a hole there in this frame. Sometimes they have 3, and you can see this one actually is drilled just in case for 3. And you want to make sure, just look at it, make sure that the holes are in the right spot if they're not. Okay, all 4 screws are in. Now the next thing is we're just going to reattach this socket right here. Piece of cake. It just slides right in. Try not to get. You can see that now it's all the way in. Like I said, this had a little bit of sticky kind of tape. Now the next thing is going to be, we're going to reattach the screws to hold this back into the frame. Okay, now we have all the screws back in. We're going to reposition the bezel, and then those final 2 silver screws are going to go through there and there. We're going to cover them with these little plastic covers, and it's done.